You are floating in the quietest place in the known universe. Station Epsilon, your home for the last 6 months. It is a listening post at the edge of the system. Your job is simple. You listen to the static between the stars. Mostly, you drink terrible coffee. You read books from 200 years ago. You watch the endless star field turn. It is the loneliest job humanity could invent. And you volunteered for it. Tonight, something is different. An alarm, a soft chime, pulls you from your thoughts. It is not the red alert for system failures. It is the green chime for a new signal, a signal that should not exist. You move to your console, its screens glowing in the dark. The signal is faint, a whisper buried under cosmic noise. But your systems have it. They are already cleaning the data stream. You watch the numbers scroll across the screen. They represent the signal's point of origin, and they make no sense. The signal comes from a dead patch of sky, a region where star formation collapsed billions of years ago. There is nothing out there but cold dust and dying embers. Nothing that could transmit a focused message. Your heart beats a little faster. This is not a natural phenomenon. It is structured. It has cadence and repetition. It is artificial. It is a message. You run the diagnostic for signal age. The number that returns is impossible. The light from that signal started its journey long ago. It began traveling before your sun had even formed, before the Earth was a molten ball of rock. This message is over 5 billion years old. You are listening to a ghost that has been speaking into the void, waiting for someone to finally listen. The translation software works for days. It grinds against alien grammar and star science. You barely sleep. You live on caffeine and a growing sense of dread. The impossible signal is slowly giving up its secrets, and its secrets are terrifying. It is not a greeting. It is not a map to a star-born paradise. It is a warning, a tombstone for an entire civilization, a race so ancient they have no name you could pronounce. They call themselves the Speakers, and they are long dead. Their message is their final act, a desperate cry sent to any who might listen. They describe an enemy, a force of nature given form. They call it the Great Hunger. The message shows you images, not video, but raw data translated into visuals. You see star systems turning dark. You see worlds stripped bare to their core. All life, all energy, all matter consumed. It is a galactic swarm of unimaginable scale. The Speakers fought it. They built weapons that could shatter moons. They engineered plagues to fight the biomechanical horror. They threw everything they had at the hunger. But the enemy did not care. It did not think. It only consumed. The signal is filled with sorrow, a deep cosmic grief for all they lost. You can feel their despair across the gulf of ages. They failed to stop the hunger. And now it is moving through the galaxy, methodically, silently. It is headed for the spiral arm where humanity was born. The message is more than just a warning. It is a clock. The Speakers were masters of star science. Their calculations are precise and unforgiving. They track the swarm's path across galaxies. You pull up the trajectory on your main screen. A red line cuts through a map of the Milky Way. It moves with chilling accuracy toward your quadrant, toward a tiny yellow star you call Sol. The estimated time of arrival makes your blood run cold. 150 years. In galactic terms, that is the blink of an eye. For humanity, it is a death sentence. You're just beginning to reach for the stars. Your colonies are fragile footholds on nearby worlds. Your fleet is a tiny collection of patrol ships. You are not ready. You cannot be ready. 150 years is not enough time. Not enough to build the fleets. Not enough to design the weapons. Not enough to evacuate even a fraction of your species. The numbers mock you from the screen. The speakers provide details about the swarm. It travels just below the speed of light. It consumes everything in its path to fuel its journey. It does not negotiate. It does not hesitate. It is a wave of cosmic locusts. You feel a wave of helplessness wash over you. You are one person on a remote station. You have just discovered the end of the world. What are you supposed to do? Who would even believe you? This isn't just a crisis. It is an extinction event on a timer. You transmit your findings to high command. You attach every piece of data, the signal's age, the trajectory of the swarm, the final, desperate words of the speakers. You wait for the urgent reply. The reply that comes is dismissive. High command thanks you for your diligence. They classify the signal as a natural anomaly, a pulsar or a magnetar behaving in an unusual way. They tell you to take a mandatory leave for stress. They think you have cracked under the pressure of isolation. They do not believe you. The truth is too large, too monstrous. It is easier to file it away as a ghost in the machine, a story made up by a lonely technician. Rage and frustration burn inside you. They are condemning billions to death with a simple email. But you know the truth. You have felt the speaker's sorrow. You have seen the swarm's inexorable path. You cannot let this go. You turn back to the signal, the source of all this madness. There has to be more. You dig deeper into the data stream, past the warning, past the star charts. The speakers were not fools. They must have known their warning might be dismissed. They must have left something else, a key, a tool. And then you find it, a hidden layer of information. It was buried under complex encryption, a lock that only a desperate mind would try to open. It is not a message. It is a blueprint. The signal itself is the key. The second layer of the signal is not data. It is a consciousness, an echo of a mind, preserved in the message stream for billions of years. It is a speaker, a ghost in your machine. It does not speak in words. It communicates in pure thought, concepts and emotions. It feels your panic. It understands your desperation. It has been waiting for someone like you, someone who would not give up. It introduces itself, not with a name, but with a feeling of deep time and weary wisdom. It was one of the scientists who created the warning signal. It stayed behind, its mind encoded into the very fabric of the message. It is the last speaker. It shows you a plan so audacious, so far beyond human understanding. It feels like magic. The speaker explains that you cannot defeat the swarm with ships or guns. The swarm has consumed races far greater than your own. To fight it conventionally is to lose. The plan is not about fighting smarter. It is about fighting with time itself. The speaker offers you a new kind of star science, a way to manipulate the fabric of the universe. It proposes a weapon that does not destroy. It preserves. It tells you that the swarm cannot be stopped, but it can be delayed. The ghost in your machine offers you humanity's only chance, a plan that will require you to rewrite the laws of physics. It asks if you are ready to become a savior or a fool. There is no in-between. The speaker begins your education. It pours knowledge directly into your mind. Concepts of star science that would take your best minds a century to grasp. You learn about chronodynamics and causality engineering. The plan is called the temporal break. It is a machine of impossible scale. It is designed to warp space-time in a localized area. It would create a bubble where time flows differently. Much, much slower. The speaker explains the physics. Time is not a constant. It can be bent by gravity. A massive object like a star already warps time slightly. The temporal break would amplify this effect a trillionfold. It would use a star as its power source. You would need to build a megastructure around a star, a colossal frame of exotic materials. This frame would generate a specific resonance, a frequency that would destabilize the flow of time in a massive corridor of space. The swarm travels through this corridor. As it enters the field, it would be caught. Time for the swarm would slow to a crawl. For every second that passes for them, a year would pass for you. It would not destroy them. It would trap them in a moment. The plan is brilliant. It is insane. Humanity has never built anything on this scale. You do not even have the materials it describes, but the speaker is patient. It shows you how to create them. It gives you the science. It gives you hope, a dangerous and fragile thing. You bypass high command. You leak the signal and the speaker's knowledge. You send it to every university, every research institute, every government on Earth and its colonies. The world erupts in chaos, then in a desperate, unified purpose. The evidence is undeniable. The science is sound, even if it feels like a dream. The greatest minds of your generation confirm the speaker's teachings. The threat of the swarm is real. The temporal break is your only chance. Humanity unites as never before. Old rivalries are forgotten. Borders vanish overnight. Every resource, every factory, every mind is dedicated to a single goal: building the impossible machine. They call it Project Timemaker. And they choose you to lead it. You are no longer a lonely technician. You are the prophet of the speaker, the one person who understands the alien science. You stand before world leaders and generals. You explain the impossible, and they listen. The construction begins around a stable yellow star. Not your sun. That would be too dangerous. You choose a star in a nearby uninhabited system. Fleets of automated drones and construction ships set to work. They build a ring around the star, a circle of hope 30 million kilometers wide. Generations are born and die working on the project. It is the greatest feat of engineering in human history. You oversee it all, your life extended by advanced medicine. You work alongside the ghost in the machine. You carry the weight of your entire species on your shoulders. You cannot afford to fail. The project takes decades. It consumes everything. Earth's beautiful cities are stripped for materials. The colonial worlds halt their terraforming projects. Humanity puts its entire future on hold, sacrificing the present for a chance at tomorrow. The cost is immense. Resources become scarce. People live in austerity. The single-minded focus on the break begins to wear on the human spirit. A new generation is born that has never known a world without this great work. They start to ask questions. Is the threat even real? The swarm is still more than a century away. Some begin to believe it was all a lie, a fabrication created to unify humanity under a single authority. You. Leaders of the outer colonies grow resentful. They see their world stripped bare to feed the project. They see Earth's leadership as a tyranny. They start to whisper of secession, of mutiny. They argue that humanity should be expanding, not hiding behind a theoretical wall. A political faction rises against you. They call you a false prophet. They claim the speaker is a trick, a phantom manipulating you. They demand an end to Project Timemaker. They say you are sacrificing the living for a ghost story. Doubt is a poison. It spreads faster than any truth. You are forced to divert resources to security. to quell rebellions. The grand unity of humanity begins to fracture. And all the while, the swarm gets closer. The speaker had warned you. The swarm is not a mindless horde. It is a complex system. It sends scouts ahead of its main body. Small, fast ships designed to assess potential feeding grounds. It arrives 75 years early. A single ship. But it is unlike anything you have ever seen. It is a biomechanical nightmare. A creature that is both living and machine. It is a sliver of the Great Hunger. The Harbinger, as you name it, ignores your hails. It moves with an unnatural grace through the outer system. It scans your worlds. It tastes your planetary defenses. It is reporting your every weakness back to the main fleet. All doubt vanishes. The whispers of mutiny fall silent. The factions against you crumble in a single day. The threat is no longer a distant prophecy. It is here. It is real. And it is terrifying. The arrival of the Harbinger is a disaster. But it is also a gift. It unifies humanity again, this time with the fire of fear. The work on the temporal break accelerates. People work with a desperate fury they did not have before. You now have two problems. You must finish the break before the main swarm arrives, and you must deal with the Harbinger. You cannot allow it to report back. You cannot let the swarm know about your secret weapon. The first battle for humanity's survival is about to begin. Your fleet intercepts the Harbinger near Jupiter. It is the largest military force humanity has ever assembled. Thousands of warships, from small fighters to massive dreadnoughts. They form a wall of steel and fire between the alien scout and your homeworld. The battle is short, and it is a massacre. Your weapons barely scratch the Harbinger's organic hull. It adapts in real time. Its surface ripples and reforms, absorbing kinetic strikes and deflecting energy beams. Your tactics are useless. It does not fire back with conventional weapons. It releases smaller organisms, swarms of biodrones that tear through your ships like paper. They consume the metal and energy, feeding their parent vessel. It is not just destroying your fleet, it is eating it. You watch from the command center on the moon. You see your best ships torn apart. You hear the final screams of their crews. The pride of your military is being dismantled piece by piece. The battle is a brutal lesson in humility. In a desperate move, you authorize the use of experimental weapons. Gravity torpedoes and singularity cannons. Weapons so powerful you feared to even test them. They are your last resort. One of the singularity cannons scores a direct hit. It tears a hole in the Harbinger's side. For a moment, you think you have won. But the wound begins to close. The living ship regenerates before your eyes. It has been wounded, but it is far from dead. You have only made it angry, and you have shown it your best trick. The wounded Harbinger changes its strategy. It learned from your attack. It adapts to the singularity weapon's signature. It reconfigures its energy defenses. Your last resort is now useless. The swarm learns, and it learns incredibly fast. This is the most terrifying revelation of all. The temporal break is your one and only weapon. If the swarm can adapt to it as quickly as the Harbinger adapted to your cannon, your entire plan is worthless. You would only be trapping a small fraction of the enemy. The rest would learn and simply go around the field. The battle for Earth's skies becomes a grim retreat. Your remaining ships try to slow the Harbinger down. They buy you time with their lives. They know they cannot win, but they can give you precious hours. On the moon, you and the speaker work furiously. The ghost in the machine analyzes the Harbinger's adaptation. It confirms your fears. The swarm is a networked intelligence. What one ship learns, the entire swarm learns instantly. You have one shot with a temporal break. It has to be perfect. It has to catch the entire swarm at once. But how can you do that when it can adapt so quickly? The flaw in your grand plan is now horribly clear. The speaker offers a new solution. A final, desperate gamble. It involves the break, but its purpose is not what you thought. The speaker has not been telling you the whole truth. There is another layer to the plan, another secret hidden in the ancient signal. With the harbinger closing in on Earth, the speaker reveals everything. The temporal break was never meant to be a permanent prison. It was a tool, a way to buy time, but not for building ships or weapons. It was meant to buy time for humanity itself to change. The signal was more than a warning and a blueprint. It was a seed, a catalyst designed for a species with a specific kind of potential, a species with latent psionic ability, a species like humanity. The speaker shows you the truth about your own race. Humans have always had a connection to a deeper level of reality. Faint traces of it are in your myths. Tales of intuition, of shared consciousness, of minds touching minds. Your species has a gift you never knew you had. The swarm has a weakness. It is a purely physical entity. It has no psionic presence. It cannot comprehend or defend against an attack on the mental plane. The speakers could not use this weakness. Their own psionic abilities were too weak, too disorganized. But humanity's potential is different. It is raw, untamed, but immensely powerful. The signal was designed to activate it. The temporal break was designed to give you the time needed to master it. The final purpose was not to build a better weapon. It was to build a better humanity. The speaker's revelation changes everything. The project was not about steel and engineering. It was about evolution. The stress, the unity, the single-minded focus of the last century were all part of the process. It was preparing your collective consciousness. The temporal break is almost complete. But the harbinger is just hours away from Earth. It will destroy your planet and your hope. You have to stop it now. And you only have one path. You must activate a part of the break's function early. Not the time dilation field, but the psionic amplifier built into its core. The speaker guides you. It teaches you how to focus your mind, how to reach out and touch the consciousness of every human alive. You stand in the control center of Project Timemaker. You close your eyes. You push your own mind outward, using the machine as a focusing lens. You send a single thought to all of humanity, a call to arms, a plea for unity, a shared vision of survival, and humanity answers. Across Earth and the colonies, billions of minds turn as one. They feel your call. They see the threat through your eyes. For the first time in history, your species becomes a single, unified consciousness, a psychic network of 8 billion souls. You direct this new power toward the harbinger. You do not attack its body. You attack its mind. The biomechanical ship has a rudimentary intelligence, a pilot organism that guides it. You and 8 billion others scream into that single, tiny mind. The alien shrieks, a sound of pure mental agony that echoes in your own head. The harbinger falters. Its advance stops. You have found the swarm's weakness. The psionic attack has stunned the harbinger, but it has not destroyed it. The creature is already trying to adapt, to shield its mind. You have only bought yourself a few precious moments. It is time for the final act. The temporal break is ready. Its great ring around the star gleams with power. The speaker guides you through the activation sequence. This is the moment humanity has sacrificed everything for. The culmination of a century of work. You give the command. A wave of energy erupts from the ring. It is not light or radiation. It is a distortion of reality itself. A wave of time. It moves at the speed of thought toward the approaching swarm, whose main fleet has just entered the system. The wave washes over the Harbinger. It washes over the first ranks of the swarm fleet. Trillions of biomechanical ships. From your perspective, nothing seems to happen. But the speaker allows you to see through its senses, to perceive the flow of time. You see the swarm slow to an impossible crawl. A ship that was moving at near light speed now inches forward over decades. A biomissile that was about to strike a colony world will now take 1,000 years to travel a single meter. They are frozen, trapped in a bubble of slow time. You have done it. You have stopped them. But the effort of the psionic attack and activating the brake has a cost. The feedback loop is too much for your physical body. Your consciousness, linked with the speaker and the machine, is thrown loose. You feel a great sense of peace as your vision fades to white. You have saved them. You have given them time. You awaken. But you are not in your own body. You are not in the control room. You exist as pure thought within the great machine of the temporal brake. The speaker is with you. It preserved your mind, your essence. It shows you what your sacrifice has bought. You look out upon the Sol system, not through sensors, but with a new kind of perception. You see the 1,000 years that have passed in the blink of an eye. Humanity is still there, but it has changed. It has evolved. With the swarm frozen at their doorstep, they had a millennium to prepare, 1,000 years to master the psionic gift you awoke within them. They are no longer confined to flesh and bone. Many exist as energy, as beings of pure consciousness. They have reshaped worlds with a thought. They have explored the deepest secrets of the universe. They have become a race of minds. And now, they are ready. The 1,000 years are up. The temporal brake's effect is beginning to fade. The swarm starts to move again, accelerating back to its normal speed. But the humanity it faces now is not the one it met before. You watch as your descendants turn to face the great hunger. They do not meet it with ships or guns. They meet it with the focused power of a unified psionic will. A chorus of minds that sings a song of power. A song that unravels the swarm at a fundamental level. They are not just fighting. They are erasing their enemy from existence. You, the lonely technician from a forgotten age, are their silent guardian. Your warning was heard. Your sacrifice was not in vain. You bought them the time they needed, and in 1,000 years, they used that time to become gods. The great hunger is finally over, and humanity's dawn is just beginning.